Yes?
I don't like having you around.
Excuse me?
Things were way more calm beforehand. I'd argue you're one of the worst things to happen to this land.
But I saved you all!
One of the 5 worst things.
You have a list?
I have a list for everything. Ladies, gentlemen, and Monsties of all ages, welcome one and all to what will be an unfortunately relatively negative video on the channel. I like to stick to positivity, and I do love Monster Hunter Stories too, but there are a few things that stop it short of being quite a 10 out of 10. So today I'll be trying to deliver my personal thoughts for the 5 things that really stop Monster Hunter Stories 2 from being a perfect game, at least for me personally. I can't speak for all of you, obviously, but that's what the comments are for. Without further ado then, let's begin with number 5.
Sometimes if a hen sits on an egg for a long time, it turns into a baby chick. That made me wonder, what else comes from an egg?
Everyone! Eggs.
Every living creature comes from an egg? It's insane. Am I the only one who's confused by this? Barioth absolutely would not come out of an egg. Gameth absolutely would not come out of an egg. Arzuros is a bear. Bears don't come out of eggs. Bears come out of bears. Okay, jokes aside, the real number 5 is NPC AI, and this is, of course, a bit of a minor thing to begin with, as I don't think it hurts the game so much as it just could be done in a way that feels much better. And by this, I mean your buddies specifically. Things like them just not healing themselves and making you dive into your resources to keep them alive. Things like them failing head-to-heads because they pick attack types seemingly at random. And things like the bow users just straight up using charge instead of challenging a head-to-head and getting whacked in the face for full damage for no reason. They have so much potential power. Their damage is great. Their theoretical utility that they have is fantastic too, but they're sort of built to be morons, really. They make bad choices, and the game is actually balanced around them doing this. I've only had a few times where a buddy has full-on failed an encounter for me, though I have had to heal them quite a bit sometimes. They don't often do anything so stupid that it full-on ruins your fight, but I can't deny that it annoys the hell out of me when I see the monster attack Roberto with a power attack, and Roberto's doing a technical attack, straight up losing and lowering his damage a ton while also increasing the damage that he takes by quite a bit. It doesn't literally change the outcome of the fight as a whole, more often than not, but it frustrates me to see my buddies struggling this way. What is the point of me knowing the enemy's moveset and countering it if the enemy happens to target my buddy instead of me, and my NPC just doesn't know what the fuck they're doing? Obviously, if they change this, they would also need to rebalance the game entirely. You couldn't make it something so broken as they just, always get it right, but maybe something like if they were doing the wrong attack, but you as the rider do the right attack, they correct it, they win, because they're following your lead. That would be a neat way of working it, maybe, but regardless, I can't help but feel like I would enjoy this game more without the frequent facepalm feeling when your buddy messes up royally.
Number 4.
What? So you're using 3 mega potions? 3 mega potions, what? Yeah, I've got 3 mega potions, Bob.
4 mega potions? Are you fucking kidding me? You son of a fucking
Bob, I've got 4 mega potions. Sorry, Bob.
4? System issues.
And that title is a bit non-specific, but that's because it applies to both available systems for this game, PC and Switch, for different reasons. I've heard that trying to do PvP on PC is sort of a crapshoot as a whole, that there is a reasonable amount of people that have found ways to have things like modified item sets, which is obviously a really big deal. I don't play on PC, so I am fully talking from other people's experiences that I have heard here. If that is a widespread issue, then that obviously becomes a bit of a major problem for that entire section of the game, one of the main features. On the Switch side, many people have been experiencing significant frame drops. Again, I have not had that problem myself, which is especially interesting considering unlike a PC. The Nintendo Switch is theoretically built exactly the same for each person who owns one, so the game should in theory function similarly, or if not exactly the same, for everyone. Yet some people have crazy frame rate drop issues, and some people run fine. It's a bit perplexing to me, honestly, but I know that I have heard a lot about people having this issue, so it is definitely worth bringing up in this conversation, in this video, as it is one of the main things that keeps people from even being able to experience a lot of the wonder that this game has to offer.
Number 3.
Wait, I've seen this before! Oh God, I've seen this before!
Repeating terrain.
And you probably know exactly what I'm talking about here if you've even finished the game. The most obvious culprit of this is dens specifically. They are procedurally generated from a few different room options, monster options relevant to that zone, and stuff like that. But the main thing here is that the pool of room options in dens to choose from in this procedural system is just really too small. You'll see rooms repeat sometimes from one den literally into the next one that you walk into. It doesn't ruin the game or anything like that by any means, but when you start searching for specific Monsties, it'll definitely start to feel like you're getting deja vu again and again and again, and then like you're getting deja vu about getting deja vu when you walk into a room, and it's exactly the same. I understand the need for repeating rooms in terrain. You obviously cannot literally make an infinite number of rooms, and I think that procedural generation was probably the right way to do it in this game too. But I think that each zone needs a few more room options to choose from within that system just to keep everything feeling properly fresh. It's just too frequent that you go over things. The main thing for me, honestly, was playing through the Turga zone. Two of the actual in-world zones, not even dens themselves, the actual plotted zones that you walk through within the story path of the game have a repeating room. This room in the Crystal Depths is straight up the same room as this room in the Lake of Flames. It's not somewhat similar, it is the exact same. The path of the story that the game sends you into the Lake of Flames, then immediately into the Crystal Depths. Literally, one after the other, you see these repeating rooms. It's just, in essence, two quests in a row, and that really bothered me. Obviously, upon re-entering these areas later, I noticed that this does happen in other places, but this was the only one that really bothered me. For the most part, they made a point of varying things enough, through the story at least, that I didn't notice this outside of the dens, but this specific one was a bit of a—
Wait a minute!
Number 2.
That's it, kid. You can do it. Come on. Come on, come on, come on. Spit it out. God, yeah!
Element changing, not.
Yeah, this is a bit of a sore spot for a number of us. I'm now aware that in an interview before the release of Stories 2, a developer actually stated that the element swapping and color changing system was removed entirely. So it was never intended to be in this game, and that is confirmed now by this upcoming patch, destroying the remnants of it and removing it entirely. What made it into the game was a bug. It was not intended. It was a very strange bug, yeah, considering that it even affected things like Palumu a little bit, even though he was a brand new Monstie in Stories 2, so it's not like it's literally just leftover code. And honestly, I'm sad about this. Maybe a bit more sad because we got this tiny glimpse of it still making it into the game. As we know now, that is a bug though, but this was one of the more interesting things that you could do in Stories 1, one of the more unique ways that you could personalize your Monsties, and I, along with many others, was really hoping that that element swapping and associated color changing system would be a mechanic in Stories 2, but sadly that just isn't the case. Rest in peace, my dream of an Aptonoth Power Ranger squad.
Number 1.
There. Come on, Pat, just take these flyers and hand them out.
Come on, Miss Tuftsy, there's plenty more fun to be had.
Missing Monsties.
This is probably the biggest thing for me, just as a whole. Obviously, it's definitely the biggest thing because I put it at number 1, but you know what I mean. Everything else that I've mentioned up to this point, I wind up more or less just forgetting about when everything is at its peak. When the game is working well, I'm in it, I'm playing, I'm happy, I'm having fun. Until I walk up to one of a handful of enemies in my path that, well, remind me of great pain. One of my happiest moments in Monster Hunter Stories 2 was seeing Duramboros for the first time in the game. He is my favorite monster in the entire Monster Hunter series, and seeing him brought into a game for the first time in ages made me ecstatic. And of course, if he was a monster, then there should be nothing to stop him from being a Monstie, right? He's not a Monstie. I can't have him as my friend. I can't ride him, and I can't forge an everlasting bond. And that makes me sad. His moveset is in the game because he's an enemy. He has stats because he's an enemy. So what's really stopping him from being a Monstie? I don't know. Maybe this sounds super ungrateful considering what we did get, but considering that the majority of the Monsties in this game, the vast majority, are ones that were already Monsties in Stories 1, I think it is fair to have a few questions about this. Of course, I'd also love to talk about things like Plesioth, who is about equal to Duramboros, and that we already have people ride Cephadrome, who is almost the same shape, so it's not a shape issue really, he just doesn't have a Monstie for some reason. Not to mention Tetsukabra, who would have been an absolutely adorable creature to hatch from an egg as a tadpole, or Celtis and Celtis Queen, who I would absolutely love to take with me everywhere. A scorpion tank insect? Sign me the hell up. In any case, the point here is that a number of monsters were added to this game that weren't in the previous Monster Hunter Stories game, didn't get Monsties, and well, it's notable. While I understand that my sadness about Duramboros might be a bit niche specifically as he isn't the most popular monster out there, between him, Plesioth, Tetsukabra, Celtis, and Celtis Queen, and all the other non-Monsties, even the ones that were non-Monsties in the first game, Ignactor and Daimyo Hermitar, I bet every one of you is missing something that you would at least like to have sitting in your stable, if not in your party itself. Not to mention those of us who have their favorite monster in this group. It's just such a tease, for lack of a better word. So close, yet just out of reach. Alright everyone, I've been Gotten Dinosaur, and this has been my list of the 5 things that stop Monster Hunter Stories 2 from being a perfect game. For me, at the very least. Who knows if you agree? I love this game, and have significantly enjoyed my time with it so far, but these are the few things that still tug away at my heartstrings. You know, the bad way. How have you guys been enjoying your time with the game so far? Did I miss anything that has particularly stuck out to you in particular? Or do you think that I'm being too nitpicky? Do you think that there's actually less issues than I've even mentioned here? I don't know precisely, but I do know that any time that part of the things that I talk about are things that a game doesn't have as an issue, it must be a pretty good game to get me invested enough to think like that. Like if you like the video, subscribe and hit the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet. Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world our stage. Goodbye.